Hi, Lincoln.
Hi, Stin.
Welcome to the podcast.
I'm glad to be here.
This is Lincoln Oscar Sheranian. Lincoln, will you just tell my audience and anyone who's listening, bless you for dealing with this and tuning in. Please introduce yourself. Tell us.
My name, as noted, is Lincoln Oscar Sheranian Jr. Because namesake senior named me, and I have been friends with Stin since I was a sophomore at Timpview High School in Provo, Utah. Perhaps maybe a junior, I'm not sure. And we have weathered the changing seasons of our lives together over the years.
Yes, we have.
That's a Fleetwood Mac song. One of my favorite, Landslide. And I was in the beauty business, managing sales teams and being a motivational speaker to a team of mostly women, about 170 women, between the ages of 28 and 60, for brands like Bumble and Bumble and some other hair care manufacturers, Aveda for a while, Darphan Skincare, which we wish we had right now.
Yes, we do. We really do.
I live in Portland, Oregon. These are shelf mushrooms, an interpretation of shelf mushrooms that grow here in the forest. They're not that color naturally, but that's our dining room wallpaper. I live here with my husband and our 11-year-old daughter, and I work for a band for 3 or 4 years now called Pink Martini. And they're a Portland-based band, and I've been friends with the lead singer and the founder pianist since I moved here after BYU with you.
That's great. Thank you for that introduction.
I have more. I'm a triple Aquarius.
That's what I was waiting for. So what we decided is Lincoln and I were talking. We're good friends from forever ago, and he's kind of my go-to guy that I would talk to most of the time. And I found that our discussions are just very interesting. Sometimes they border on deep. Sometimes they border on absolutely ridiculous and meaningless in every way. But the good news is that I feel like by having another person and discussing some things that we might have fun. So that there is some learning to be had here too, right, Lynx?
Right, and I feel like if I could add, like, it's stuff that we and all of our friends are all like getting on the phone with each other, or nowadays, or house party or Zooms, or in the old days, hanging out and talking about, like, for me, I always call you and say, like, I'm not a terrible drinker, but like, how do I age gracefully with drinking? Or like, you're a mom ahead of me and I have an 11-year-old. And like, now it's like, how do you homeschool your kid? Or like, I'm looking at this video conference for this podcast, wondering, do I get Botox? Does that make me too vain if I do? Like, weird stuff that everybody wants. Like, how do I incorporate?
Everybody wants to ask out loud, but you can't. And that's what we're going to ask for you today. We're just going to ask the questions that nobody wants to ask. So my background, a lot of people know me through my thought coach or through Meditation Station, because I've been doing it for a billion years. And I record guided meditations, as most of you know, and started because my background is actually primarily in sports psychology, where I would help people with visualization and mental rehearsal. And based on the research, that's just, I created content to help athletes perform better. And in doing that, anxiety was a big theme of professional athletes. And so started to cater some of my content more towards anxiety, and then got even more involved when I had a child that had severe anxiety, and then turned that into recorded podcasts for other people that might have anxiety. And in the course of being a human and my own professional work, have come along across some other techniques. And so we've been talking, so that's how I've started my whole thing. And I think Lincoln and I were talking about how we started this whole COVID thing initially with such great plans, because we had all this time that was unstructured for the first time. And after about a week of me putting off things of my great plan and my structure of my day, I started to recognize that there's a huge shift happening. What do you think, Lincoln? Like, it just, like, for me, it's like, yeah, there's this shift happening in the world that is exhausting, that takes a lot of energy to just kind of figure out. And I kept failing, and I felt like the people that I was talking to had these expectations of this time, like, oh wow, I'm gonna learn Japanese and learn how to play guitar really well, and finally get to homeschool my kids because their teachers are no good, and I'm gonna step up to the plate. And like, we're just all failing. And so Lincoln and I were talking about how exhausting it is and how important it is to just be okay with how bad it is. This is kind of like the wilderness time. And there are all these like, so my story today is like a story of the wilderness. Like when people throughout, like even in scripture, there are people that in the Jewish tradition that there's wanderings in the wilderness for years, and that's a part of the growth of the people of Judaism. And that's a huge part of their story, is the time in the wilderness. And that's just as crucial to our development and our growth, is being willing to spend time in the wilderness and figure out how to do the wilderness. And what are the things that have to happen in the wilderness for me to survive? And how do I look forward to something with hope and kind of a new era? And we're going to a new era, I think.
Yeah, I think
Lincoln, comment.
Necessity is like the mother of invention, right? So we are in survival mode, and I think you go through all the stages of grief. I mean, at first you're shocked, and then you're angry at governments and leadership and viruses, and then you sort of get to a place where I think people divide. Like, okay, I'm going to use this time. Where's the silver lining? And other people are drinking more heavily than before, like eating for entertainment, which is totally a thing for everyone.
Totally a thing.
And my worlds cross over with being a parent and with other parents during this time, and having a spouse and working on a relationship during this time, and being in the creative community with artists and musicians in the music industry. And, I think there is a spectrum. I think there is a spectrum, and I think that we are all self-reflecting a lot.
Yeah.
I think we have all this downtime, and we're figuring out how to do a new routine at home and do yoga at home and have a virtual workout in the living room. My husband's 6'7", so he gets the whole living room, and I'm relegated to this room, which is the dining room. So we move the table every 2 days. And, we're just, I think we're coming out of this all different people. But I know that creatives are really, look at Glenn Close's Instagram. They're either cracking apart.
Is she cracking? I haven't seen it. She snapped it. She's slowly melting in front of everyone.
There are celebrities all over the world mimicking Glenn Close's like really close up and sort of like loony, but I love her. She's fantastic. She's great.
Like that.
People are creative. It's going to go down in history as one of the most creative times, because people are surviving through. My dear friend China Forbes, who sings with Pink Martini, she's the singer. She's been banging out songs one after another at the piano. She wrote a hand washing song. It's great, but she's also writing other serious songs, content for herself, and telling her story through music.
Yeah.
And I think people are writing. I thought about like, I've streamed everything I can possibly stream on the streaming services. And it's not, some of it's good, and a lot of it's just to fill content because people will watch it. And I think writers are during this time reflecting on like all the garbage that's just been shoved out there, because there's so many devices and so many avenues and so many eyeballs to put stuff out into the world, that I think we're going to get some really good scripted material to watch in the next 2 or 3 years when it finally gets around to being made.
Yeah. So I've noticed, like with my kids and in my family, so Lola is my creative, and she's already started like all sorts of nonsense. Like every day she'll just be in the middle of doing something, and she'll stand up and go down and build something, or start a newsletter for a neighborhood, or start some like play situation, or build a whole Barbie world out of Amazon boxes. Like there's this creative energy that's happening that is free because of the unstructured time. But my other child is really struggling right now and is really, and just came to me this morning and just said, I can't stop looking at my devices. And I'm like, I'm comparing myself to other people, and I'm gaining weight. Like, it's all of this stuff, right? And she's miserable without the structure. She's really struggling. And so we were talking about that we have no one, we're used to seeing like the best 5 to 10% of ourselves mirrored back to us in the relationships that we have at work, or in the line at the grocery store. We're really charming and loving and generous, and we let them go in front of us. And so we have these kind of mirrors around us where we get to say, oh, look at, I'm so gracious, I'm so kind, look how great I was to that driver. And here, and the contrast is, we're in our own homes. We either have no one reflecting back to us but ourselves, like the mirror, because a lot of people are in quarantine by themselves.
So many
It's
people.
heartbreaking. Like, because there's no one to reflect back to, except for like a little box on a Zoom meeting, which is like, that's it. That's what you get. And it's a very strange situation. But that's when your demons come out, right? Or if you are in a family, you're seeing the worst half of you, because we're all half good and half bad. Like, we have really generous, warm, intelligent, articulate, creative parts. They're all stuffed in there. And the worst thing is when we are only accessing our lowest, like we're just responding, like we're like Pavlov's dog, like someone's annoying, you're the reason I'm miserable, I'm gonna do something stupid and yell at you and then feel bad, or maybe not even feel bad and make you responsible for my feelings, which is even worse, right? Like, blame everyone else for why I'm feeling miserable. And so here are the things that I've noticed. One, I set the bar way lower after I realized I kept failing. And one was, first thing in the morning, I was waking up and looking at all the COVID news and the stuff, and filling my mind immediately with anxiety or worry, or kind of getting into the collective energy of, oh crap, this is really bad. What are we going to do? What's it going to look like? The unknown, right? This huge sense of the unknown, which is literally the worst way to wake up. So if there is any tip that I would leave with anybody that I've wanted to share, is never, ever, ever, and that will be the thing, you will be pulled to it, because it'll be, notice the thoughts that you have first thing in the morning when you wake up. My thoughts are,
I want to know if the curve is flattening.
I want to know if the curve is
people
flattening.
are dying every day. So, I mean, it draws you to it.
I want to know. Like, and that is such an example of how perfectly designed we are as humans, because we are built as people to be very concerned that if there's anything in our environment that is dangerous, we have to find it, right? Because our ancient brain is like, fight the tiger or you're dead. So you have to do, like, that is a normal human response, is to wake up and go, what are the dangers? I just woke up, oh crap, what's going on? And so we reach for our phones to tell us what's going on. But then we just become reactive. We're like, instead of me deciding how I want to feel today, I'm going to look at this thing, this phone or this device or whatever it is, this TV, and I'm going to let that decide how I'm going to feel. And so we immediately, instead of being the movers or orchestrating our own lives, we become totally just responding to all the stuff. And so I had to stop that. And it's hard to do. But if you make a plan ahead of time, even if you just say, before I get on my phone, I'm going to pay attention to the thoughts that are in my mind. And so that's what I did. And that's what we're trying to do in our family is, I wonder what's going on. I wonder, oh, I wish, or I think about did I get enough sleep last night? Like, what are the thoughts? And pay attention to those. And then try to make thoughts that will help you ask yourself questions intentionally that will help you have the kind of day that will be a little bit more proactive, right? Less responsive.
Right.
Like, how can I do today better? Or what is the most important thing I could do this morning? Or could I set my alarm 30 minutes earlier than everyone else so that I don't have to always be responding to everyone else's needs. I can structure something to fill myself. And gosh, if I'm just going to do my meditation plug, if people could do 15 minutes of just a really good meditation. And so what we did this morning is just, I had everyone just come climb in our bed and imagine, like, just pay attention to the breathing. Like, it just brings you to the immediate sensation going on of what does it feel like to breathe in and breathe out. And it's mindfulness, but it's not, because you start to recognize, we were talking about, and in my last podcast, if you listen to it, about that question of this statement, this too shall pass. Like, everything that is happening will always change, but there's a part of us that is observing that change. So the feelings that we have, the breath that we're on, there is an ancient part of us, that our soul or our spirit or whatever it is that you want to, that's observing everything. It's not even the thing that's thinking. We think, oh, I'm thinking, that's me having that thought. That's not true. You can observe a thought, which means that there's a separate part of you that has the capacity to look and observe. So just observe your breathing and recognize that you are separate from anything going on in your body, anything going on in the world, anything that might hook you. You are separate from your body. Like, you're just hanging out in there. That's your home for right now. And so we imagine just, okay, here I am inside of this body and feeling this breath and starting to feel warmth in the center of our chest. And so we're gonna do that for 3 minutes. Lincoln, try it and see if it works, because I don't know. My kids may have been humoring me, but just, if you can, just close your eyes right now, wherever you are. Don't close your eyes if you're driving or trying to pretend like you're listening to something else, but pay attention just as you breathe. See if you can notice a warm feeling right here. It's right about where your solar plexus is, because energy work and meditation is the best thing you could do right now to help put all your energy out here. This is what we're doing. We're putting all of our stuff and our focus on the outside. And when we can bring it here and get grounded with our bodies and with the moment, we get to step back into control of our lives. And so if you just imagine this warmth in your chest, like a ball of fire almost, and like use your imagination to really feel that and feel a warmth and like a radiating, it's like a ball, a sun, just glowing warmth that is in the center of your chest. And if your mind wanders around and starts to think about how lame this is, just come back, paying attention to that area in your chest, and then feel it maybe expanding a little bit, getting a little bit larger inside of your chest. And if you can, see if you can imagine it pressing out. And how much can that energy that's coming from that ball of warmth and light, it's like the brightest light you could imagine it pressing out even more, and the warmth filling now almost the entire upper half of your body. And if you can, imagine it growing even bigger, so that you're almost filling up a circle around your entire body. Your aura is pushing this light out, and it's filling every single inch of your body with warmth. And just kind of pay attention to that sensation as the light expands and it becomes warm, even pushing out to your extremities, your fingers. It's relaxing your shoulders and your face and your hands. And it's full of an energizing feeling. This is such a good one in the morning, because I want you to just imagine the light going in and cleaning everything up and energizing every cell with positive, good, bright, healing energy and love. And just become aware of it. And if you want now, you could even imagine, sometimes I'll just imagine it getting even bigger, and imagine sending that love to anyone in the world that's suffering. Maybe if you know someone that you feel disconnected from or you want to feel closer to, see if you can imagine that light just getting larger and bigger and expanding even to fill up the room that you're in. Because it's all your imagination. and getting even bigger, filling up your apartment or your house, and expanding to your city even, or your neighborhood, getting bigger. Just kind of pay attention to this without questioning it. Just use the imagination that you had when you were 5 or 6, that this would have been the most natural thing to imagine. Go back to that energy as it expands even more. And see that energy reaching towards someone or people in general, even that might be in need of love or healing or whatever it is, that as you put your intention towards that love or kindness or connectedness, we're never really alone, even though our bodies are alone. As you expand, you begin to feel that there's a connection and an expansiveness that we are so forgetting. That's a huge part of who we are innately. And just feel that love and that light circling around a person or a group of people. And then bring your focus back just to your breathing, but feeling whole, a little bit more whole and complete now. That you, and just with this recognition as you kind of bring the energy back in, that this is how you can experience COVID, is using your energy or intention to expand and connect, not letting the news or the drama or the Instagram feeds determine how you're going to feel, but you choose how you want to feel. You choose, and it's your choice and your intention. I mean, you can come back to this. I want you to just feel this energy now going up from the crown of your head to the bottom of your feet, bringing all of your chakras, your energy field into an alignment. And this would be a great time if you wanted to maybe express gratitude for things. The intention of gratitude, or just being grateful, is the antithesis of fear and anxiety, is gratitude. So today, as I did this meditation, Lucy said, I realized that I can go to this place anytime I feel a bad feeling or I feel anxious about school or not taking my ACT, and that could be a good thing because it'll help me remember to go to this place. So we could use our anxiety as such a great tool if we are grateful for it the second we have it and go, thank you for this panicky feeling, because it invites me to go back and choose with intention how I want to feel and how I want to show up. And that is my thought for today. Link, what do you think?
I think it's really good. I think that maybe like a lot of people, I grew up in a praying family, but I don't know that I would think of myself as a spiritual person, and I'm for sure cynical. And it's still just like there is science behind how your parasympathetic system is affected when you focus on your breath and when you think about what you're grateful for, because our thoughts are what we become. And for anybody listening to the podcast and not watching the video, I just want you to know that there are 2 candle holders on the bookshelf behind you, Stin, that make it look like the Easter Bunny. I had some distractions.
Oh,
I had to really focus on being, centering. And I think if you wake up every morning, like I've been doing this newly, I don't do this, but making a list with my husband in the notes on my iPhone of what we're grateful for. And we farmed out our 11-year-old to my in-laws, his parents, her grandparents. And they're retired and really focusing on homeschool with her. And that we're grateful for the time just with each other, like in a relationship without all these distractions, and how weird and rare that is after a decade of focusing wholly on the kid or careers or all of it. And I think having grown up in a praying family, there's something that felt familiar in a meditation. I'm not a meditator, but it's been on my list for more than a decade of what things I want to do. Like I want to start, because I know it has benefits. Of course, there's science behind it. But I think like a lot of people, I just haven't gotten there.
Yeah.
Either psychologically or figured out a way to get a routine around it.
You're not alone. I think everyone kind of knows. So here's my last plug. My goal is to make it easy to meditate, because it is hard. It's just so hard, is to make it as easy as possible. Sometimes having a guide, a coach, someone to talk you through it helps. But I came across the craziest thing the other day. They were trying so when you have an implant, like when people get lung transplants or heart transplants, the body rejects that, right? Because if your body's healthy, it's going to fight against anything foreign. That's the sign of a healthy body. And they've found that too, even with respirators, that people's bodies are kind of seeing it as like they're invasive, and there's just a kind of a rejection of it. And so, do you know what they've done to try to help? They've discovered that they need to suppress people's immune system in order for their body to accept the foreign lung or the foreign, whatever it is that they're doing. And the way that they depress the immune system is to give it stress hormones. And think about that. So if stress is what depresses your immune response so much that your body's okay with somebody else's heart,
right.
Meditation is the universal. There has been more research on just the idea of being still, or even this mental rehearsal. Like there's power in that, in just having a guided experience that will help your body's immune system be elevated because you have avoided the stress. And that's, I had never heard that before. That was just crazy. So think about that, and think about ways that you can just add that in your life.
I'm thinking of how to reduce my cortisol levels, like lower cortisol levels. But it's fascinating. So is that the metaphor for what this time is of survival? Like we're all surviving, and in order to like get through to a better place, we have to sort of trigger our survival instincts, like suppressing an immune system to accept what's happening.
To accept it.
Is there a metaphor in there? Yeah.
There's a huge metaphor. And I feel like, think about what will happen is we will elevate. People are going in both directions, right? Some people are finding this new creative, and they're working on their relationships, and they're realizing what crap their life has become, and they're working on it, or they're realizing all the ways that they're buffering by over drinking or fighting or creating dramas or overeating. Like we buffer our unhealthy emotions to avoid feeling unhealthy emotions all the time. And it's harder to do that in this context. So you have a choice. You can find something that helps you deal with it, like really go crazy on the drinking. Find something that helps you not have to feel the feelings. And everyone has their own favorites. And sometimes you can pile different things on top of each other. Or you can go, my life, it sucks. I'm going to make it better. These are the things that aren't working. Look at it. And when they're not then the creative energy comes, and then you find solutions, and then we elevate as humans.
I mean, my life doesn't suck, but there are things that can be honed so many. Like we all do, my little list of things. Yeah. I'm not off the rails. I'm pretty focused on goals. I think I know all of my friends are, for the most part, they've got it together. But there are areas that we've been we sort of, you said it the other day, like we like the relationship with the thing in our head that we're not doing more than we like the thing that we are doing or that we want to make better.
Yeah.
So I have for years been saying we're going to clean the basement. And until like I framed it as like, hey, let's change our dynamic and how we communicate when we're on a project together. So you're not pushing all my buttons and I'm not barking back at you and it becomes a fight. Let's let's use it as the vehicle to do the thing that we've been wanting to do for years, which is rearrange the basement. And we did it. And when it got done, I was kind of like, oh, that thing is gone. That nagging feeling of like wanting to redo the basement. And I sort of missed it, but at the same time, I acquired a new formula for communicating with my spouse while we're in a stressful situation, moving furniture and and giving stuff away that I want to keep because I'm a slight hoarder, like my dearly departed mother, and everything is sentimental. And this puzzle piece, I'm going to keep it because it meant something during COVID. We did that puzzle together. And he's like, get rid of it. Get rid of it all. Sorry, I went down a rabbit hole there because.
No, but it's true. But yes, I love that. Because the problem, like, yeah, this can be the very vehicle. The bad can be the vehicle to get better. It's all like, it's just the way you see it, right? The way you see it. I do not want to Netflix my way through COVID. I don't want to numb out or eat my way through this time.
Right.
And nobody does, right? Nobody does, but that is happening. And it's a potential for all of us. We're all skating. Every morning we wake up with that choice of, but the exciting thing, and I love that it's spring, is like every day things are different. Every day could be new. Like regardless of how crappy we did yesterday in any of the things that are the goals or the relationships, every morning it's new and it's fresh and it can be new and you can recreate yourself. Every hour you could reinvent yourself. And maybe it's just, what's the next best thing that I could do better? Maybe it's just that. I did crap for the last 4 hours. I ate 19 things out of my COVID storage that are just silly. What's the next best thing that I can do now? And just get back. I love the idea of organizing something too. I think there's a lot of power in that. As we bring order to our physical world, it is such a type and a shadow. It's like a tool to help create order in our mental world and our spiritual world.
And gain control of something in a moment where we're having to lean into not having control of anything.
Yes,
My work is totally up in the air on the line. There's no routine. Like I may be getting the basement cleaned, but I haven't showered in 3 days. If you're watching the video, that's what this outfit's all about.
And I did, because I knew I was going to have to film myself, and I kind of like my hair dirty better. I mean, it's a crazy time. The best businesses have come always. I mean, it's like, it's crazy to look just even at the professional world. The best business models have come out of depressions, have come out of times of complete unknown, and there has to be a thinking out of the box. You can't just be a sheep at this time. How exciting. Yeah.
Am I allowed to secretly think that this is my kids' generation's impetus to figure out climate change?
Isn't that, I told that to Lucy and she's like, that's such a cop-out. I'm like, I'm so excited because you guys are going to figure this out. It's your generation is so excited for all of the things and you are going to come up with a solution. She's like, that sucks. Really, Mom? Like really, it has to be us. You're leaving it to us? What, you guys are making like, go fix it yourself. You have to make choices today. And I felt kind of like a jerk face.
Right. Well, she's got a good point.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's Lincoln. Gosh, dang it, Lynx. It's fun to chat with you today.
Nice chatting with you too. It's been really great.
Thanks for noticing my rabbit ears. That's just like such a perfect Easter week.
It is, which was what, 2 days ago? I have a little bit of Tourette's. I apologize. And no, I don't mean to offend anybody, but
I'm offended.
No, it like something pops into my head sometimes and I say it even at the middle end of a meditation that you're leading.
You can do that all the time because I want to do another podcast with you already. This is so fun.
I'm so excited.
Okay, so if you like this video, so what we're going to do, if you are used to my podcasts, the good news and possibly bad news is that you can also watch this on YouTube. You're welcome. /I'm sorry. It's an option. You can see what it looks like to be our age and enjoying and having known that we were best friends starting at 17.
What is our age? Do we say our age? I'll say my age. But
I feel like if you say your age, then everyone's gonna know my age, and then
that's why I'm asking.
Oh crap.
Come on, if
You
we're going
can,
to be comfortable in our skin and embrace it and show our kids the example that they need to be and not be, if they're growing up in the social media generation,
I know.
nothing's real anymore. There's a light for everything on Instagram and there's an app that tweaks your face. So we're 50. We're fine.
And we're fine. We're fine.
And we're also normal for grappling with trying to like figure that out because everyone I know is doing the same thing.
It is. It's so true. Yeah. So if you're 50, we love you and we feel for you. If you're 60, we're kind of jealous because we were thinking, gosh, once you're 60, you don't even really have to fix your. Maybe you do. Maybe we will. I remember my grandma still put lipstick on when she was like 80. Like just
Yeah,
so
but you've had
maybe
time to
we'll
settle
always
into
be a
the
little vain.
idea. You've had time to adjust to be. Because you said, as you said correctly before this thing started, but you said 50's like on that line. 50's the new 40. You know, like people who are 50
Yeah.
now kind of feel like, you know, like people who you used to feel when they were 40. And so we're still like, you still are connected to your youth, and it's just
I know.
too much
It's just so
vanity.
hard. It is. It's such a wilderness, right?
The next
We're just in
episode.
the wilderness of the 50s. We're going to talk about that on our next episode. So I'm glad you joined us. Thank you, Lincoln. Just thank you for wearing that hat, for the wallpaper.
You know why I do these things? Because when I had a glass bottle 15 years ago, you said, "Here's a Sharpie, write a positive word on it." It changes your brain. Whether it changes the actual molecules in the water, I'm not sure on the science behind that, but you believed it.
Oh my gosh, was that me?
Yes, and I wrote love on my bottle of water, and I was drinking love. I was drinking love. And now
I
I do.
believe that. I don't know why. I'm so freaky like that, but I believe there's something.
But it's true. It changes what you think is what you become. So if I'm looking at this video later and my hat says love, then I'm feeling love.
So I feel love right now looking at it. So thank you for
I love you.
resonating. Yeah, resonating love. That's actually a really good one. Will you wear a new hat next time we talk?
I have 5,000 hats. I'll wear
Okay,
a different one every time.
Okay, good. So this is Lincoln, this is Stin, and this is our podcast / YouTube video. And we love you. We're rooting for you. We have just so many things to explore and grapple with, and we're just so happy you're going to be with us every step of the way. Mwah! Is this it? Are we saying goodbye? Is this how it ends?
I think so.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.